Hey everybody, welcome to Gardening TLC. I am Michelle. Welcome to my garden. Today we are going to do a garden tour of the garden. It's been a little over a month since we did our last tour. And today we're going to look at the good, the not so good, the really good, and a few uglies. So we're going to tour the garden, check it out, and see what's going on. Look at my lawn right now, you guys. It is green. My lawn is never green at the end of July. We have had so much rain this year, but with that rain came a lot of bug pressure, so we have some challenges there, and I'm calling this the Year of the Rabbit. I live in Northern Illinois, Zone 5. I've lived at this property for about 7 years, and I've been gardening in it for about 6. So I have beds that are in all different stages of development, from brand new to I started them 6 years ago, didn't like them, and started over again. So I go through some of the same challenges that you do as a homeowner, and my goal with my channel is to hopefully help you be inspired to get out in your garden, or hopefully give you some information that maybe you didn't have. I do own a garden center, and I am a retired landscape designer. So I did that for about 20 years and ran the landscaping division for my company, but I've kind of stepped away from that. I do a few cherry pick jobs here and there, but for the most part, I run the garden center, and I love to be in my garden at my house. Now this year, I feel like I've done more landscaping than I wanted to, and I haven't spent as much time in my garden as I'd like to, so I feel like I'm a little behind on my own projects. But today, we're gonna tour the gardens, check out what we've gotten done, and that's one of the things I love about garden tours, is it chronicles where you started and where you're going, or where you think you're going. So I know for me, gardening as a homeowner is a lot different than doing landscaping as a landscape designer, because usually when you're doing landscape design, most of those people aren't gardeners. Most of them are people that don't want to garden, and so you hear low maintenance a lot. Now, as I've gotten older, I have really shifted my gardens into a lot of low maintenance things. That doesn't mean that I'm never going to come out and garden, because I'm always going to garden. So in my mind, what is low maintenance? It means that I come out here maybe once a month to do a major, like half a day in the garden. And then once a week, I walk my gardens and I make sure that nothing is getting away from me. But you know how you look at your own garden and it's like you're never satisfied. You always want something different. Or you go to another garden, which I love to do that, and be inspired by what you see in somebody else's garden. And then you come home and you're like, ooh, I want to do that where I live, but where can I put that? Oh, I might have to create a new garden bed. And therefore, gardening is never over. So without any further ado, though, let's go take a look at my garden and what it looks like right now at the end of July. And I know, look at that grass, it's so green. I also own this 1 acre lot that sits over here. Now, when you get to that long grass over there, I don't own that. That is the neighbor's grass, and they don't mow it very often. I think he mows it and feeds his animals with it, and that's why it only gets cut maybe 2 or 3 times a year. It doesn't bother me so much because it's way over there, and I don't know, I'm okay with it. So last fall, I planted both of these Japanese lilac trees. These are the ivory silk. They're actually considered a fairly fast growing tree. They grow in zone 3 through 6, maybe zone 7, but I think, I don't know, I'd watch it if you're in zone 7. They're going to get anywhere from 20 to 30 feet high and about 15 feet wide, and they get the most absolutely beautiful flowers on them. So I did a pair of them here to flank maybe another garden going that way. Now, I haven't 100% decided that I want to do a garden that way, because I want to button up all the gardens that way first before I go that way. But my mind is thinking maybe in the future, even if it's just a small bed at the end of the driveway, or it's a big formal bed going out into this acreage behind me, I want to do something over there. I just haven't decided what yet, but I wanted to get ready for it because the trees, they take the longest to grow. So I got them in the ground last year. I think they're doing very well. Now, I did end up flanking 2 pots at the end of the driveway, one out of necessity more than anything else, because where I had planted this first low pot, I just wasn't getting enough sun for it to do well, so I ended up trimming them back and moving them here, and they've been out here a little over a week. And as you can see, they are starting to put on some more flowers, which is really great because they had almost 0 flowers on them when I moved them out here. So this is the Super Tunia from Proven Winners called Saffron Finch. It also has the Peachy Keen Superbena, white geraniums in here, and then some helichrysum. Oh, also there's some Creeping Jenny right down there. So they're actually responding pretty good. That one had 0 flowers on it, and it's got a lot more flowers on it than it did. But we planted up these new pots here with our 9 bark, and this is the Tiny Wine 9 bark. I really like the color of this. I really like the way it looks up against the grass. We underplanted it with the lemon coral sedum from Proven Winners and the Super Tunia bubblegum. And they're just now starting to kind of like bulk up just a little bit and get some flowers on them. So we're hoping that in a month, those are gonna really be full and looking glorious out here. We are gonna start right here with the driveway bed. And there are elements in this bed that are good, that are not so good, that are downright ugly, and things that just need to go away. I love this bed though in July for 3 weeks when everything is blooming. It looks so good. But then when the daylilies are done, I'm not loving it so much. So I don't love it in front and I don't love it behind. So that tells me I need to get rid of the daylilies. But let's take a look at the bed because there are some Little Lime fruit punch in here that are spectacular, and the Black-Eyed Susan. So let's go take a look. So we have had so much rain this year that I have had a hard time keeping up with the weeds. I swear, it hasn't even been a week since I was out here cleaning up the weeds because I try to hit every bed, at least, look at it 1 day a week and quickly pull weeds. And look at how fast they come up. And the other thing that has happened is, we have weeds that come and disguise themselves this year and they grow really fast, like this guy right here. Where did you come from and how did you get that big so fast? I was just out here. But some of them are blending right in. So that's been a challenge for me this year. I don't normally battle a lot of weeds, but I usually stay on top of them. But this year, it's been a challenge. Overall, there's a lot of things about this bed that I like. I love this Jane Magnolia. And check it out at the very top. There's some buds going on up there. And that usually doesn't happen. I don't know if it's because of all the rain, the cool temperatures, or what. But it's got, I think, like 4 or 5 flower buds up there. How cool is that? As we swing down lower, you can see our tall stone crop or our sedum here. I don't know what kind this is. It was given to me by someone else, and it's 2 different blends. One's like a light pink and the other's a dark pink, but I like them and they just fill this corner out really super nice. We do have some gomphrena down here that the rabbits did not get. I had some growing in other places that has been gobbled up and it's gone. He must not come out here by the road. We also have our alliums in here. These are the Millennium. I love this flower. It is so gorgeous. It's just now starting to color up. Kind of a two-tone going on right now, but one of my favorite all-time flowers. As we move a little further into the bed, you can see we do have some Cobalt Liatris in here that are done blooming. They were so beautiful when they were blooming. I just need to come in and clean up the spent stalks. The other thing that I loved for 3 weeks, but 3 weeks only, were the daylilies. They were glorious. Now this one here is called Pardon Me. It's kind of a blend between a pink and a red. It's hard to say what color that is. It's not wine. I don't know, it's hard to say, but it's called Pardon Me. It's a repeat bloomer. And when they were blooming, they were awesome. Now I'm gonna come through here and I'm gonna cut all these back, or in 2 weeks, all the foliage on here will be that ugly yellow color, and I want it to at least look fresh for the rest of the season. I have another little patch of sedum in front of that, and then our Viette's Little Susies look so pretty here, and for once, Glenn hasn't run them over. Every year, I swear, he runs them over. He hasn't done it yet. He still might. But right now, they look really good. But as you can see, the daylilies come all down to the, they're like the second layer in the whole bed, and they're done. And these over here were the Strawberry Candy, and they're completely done. And see, they just aren't attractive when they're done, and I think that's what I don't like about it. And then again, look at those. Look at those weeds disguising themselves. That was not there a week ago. I can't believe how fast they're coming up. This is a Sunset Monet Woodgilla. We pruned it back in the 3rd week of June. It's recovered nicely. It's even got a few little repeat bloomers on it. Now, I knew that I was going to sacrifice a lot of the blooms on it when I did that prune on it, but it needed it, and now I'm really happy with the shape and how it looks. One of the things that's really suffered this year have been my hostas. The problem has been that we've had a lot of earwigs. I haven't seen slugs, but boy, have I seen the earwigs, and they have just gone to town. And because we've had so much rain, when I try to put the bait out, it kind of washes it down and makes it ineffective. And it gets really expensive to keep putting bait out that doesn't work. So I stopped doing it for a while, and I just now started putting it back out again. overall, I mean, if you look at them from a distance, they're not crazy bad, but when you get close, you can see the damage on them. Some of the smaller ones have fared a little bit better. I think this one is called Rainbows. And is that what you guys told me? I'm pretty sure that's what this one is. And then we've got the 3 autumn frost from Proven Winners. And then there's a Coast to Coast back there. And then this one here is a Francis William. This one here is the Stained Glass. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, one is Grape Expectations. All right, now let's turn our attention to these little lime fruit punch. And what I love about these is even though these aren't getting as much sun as they should, they're a decent size. They have finished 1.5 full years of growing. And so I put these in not last fall, but the fall before. But what I love about this one is look at the beautiful flowers on there, how some of them are green, then you get white, then they start to turn pink. And then that pink, check it out, starts to age to a mauve, but then that mauve will turn like a fruit punch red. Oh, and I've got a broken blossom on here. We've also had a lot of wind this year. But we have 5 of those in here, and I just think that these are great. I love these in here. And this is looking at it from another angle. If I was coming down the driveway, I do like the way this bed looks. There's so much about it I do like, and I don't think it takes much to bring it up to, I don't want to say this bed is awful because it's not, but I think to take it up to the next level, I think if I add those purple, I think it makes a difference. And then, see, I've got some holes in here that I need to fill. You can see big open spots there, but some of that was because I was waiting to see how big the hostas would get. Some of these will never get as big as the tag says because here's a great big sugar maple that is, you know, they hog everything. So all in all, I'm not unhappy with this bed. What I am unhappy with are those storm clouds that are coming this way because we've had rain for 2 days now and it needs to stop. It's been just a little over a week since we updated this pot and threw out all the stuff in here that we didn't love. So not a whole lot going on, but everything's looking good. And even the coleus has some new leaves on it. You can see them starting to emerge right there. So this will fill in and be a nice fall pot. We come around the corner and Eloise is doing very well. The moss roses right now are kind of closed up on her because it's not warm enough for them to open up. But I really, really like this head and the way it turned out and how it's looking. So I will do this one again next year. I'll probably pull this apart in the fall and then pot up all of the succulents that are in here that I can salvage and just maybe do some kind of winter head in her. I don't know that I want to leave her outside though. She's not concrete, she's just resin. So I want her to last for a long, long time. Maybe we'll plant a house plant up in her and put her inside for the winter. We are going to move on to the sidewalk bed next. I'm really happy with how this looks. Now, the one thing that I screwed up was I thought that I picked salmon impatiens all the way down, but it looks like I have either coral or orange. They kind of look orangey to me, and salmon. They don't look horrible together, but the whole thing was supposed to be salmon. And then maybe 2 weeks ago, I'm like watering the pots and I'm looking at them, and I don't know, it never even struck me, but it's like, those aren't salmon. Those are like orange. But you know what? They don't look bad. So let's go take a look at this bed. Our oak leaf hydrangea still has some pretty beautiful blooms on the top. The ones at the bottom are a little more spent, but if you come up here and you look at these, aren't those glorious? I love the pink of that. I love how big these leaves are on here, and I can't wait till they turn red in the fall. Now again, oak leaf hydrangea is one of those hydrangeas that you don't prune because it blooms on old wood. So in the spring, I basically just look for diseased, dying, dead, or crossing branches, and I prune those out, but otherwise I leave this glorious girl alone. I love this shrub. I think it looks so good in this corner. Then as we come down the bed, you can see that we've tucked the impatiens in. Now you can look at these, see how they look orange? And then if I come over to these, they're a totally different color. Yeah, I totally screwed that up, didn't I? You can see it even more like that. I don't know why I didn't catch that, but I'm just now like going, these are not the same color. But I still love the low bowls. I think they add so much color to the garden, and you can change that color every year. I just love it. So we come down, we've got our boxwoods, which we still have not pruned yet. I do think I'm gonna have to break down this year and give them a little haircut though, because they are getting a little bigger than I want them to. So I will probably, once we get a cool down, give these guys a little haircut. I do love the Incredible, and even though it's not in full sun or even getting 6 hours of sun, it gets like dappled sun. And then what I did was I put a trellis in here, and I kind of pushed it back, and then by doing that, it kind of made it splay out on each side. So it kind of arced it all the way over from one side to the other. So I like that I did that. I felt like my little bowl was getting gobbled up, and then you couldn't see my little heuchera that I put in there. And so that was a transplant from earlier this year, and that is the Palace Purple, and I wanted to be able to see that peeking out. Swinging around this way, we have our Patriot Hosta with our new Jack Frost Brunnerus that we put in this year. Those are doing very well. Another oak leaf hydrangea, and I can't wait for this one to get some flowers up at the top right there, because that is my kitchen window, and I love being able to look out the kitchen window to see the flowers. So I like the screen that you see through this, because you get this pretty tree right here behind it, and then I have a bird feeder on there, so you see the birds come to this feeder, and then I see it out the kitchen window. So I really like that a lot. This coleus in here is the Pineapple Brandy by Proven Winners. I really like it. It doesn't flower until you get to the very end of the season. I love the color on there, and I love that you can pair it up with pretty much any impatient. And I did this with one 4-inch plant, and it flanks the sidewalk, and they go down. There's 4 of them all together, and I used one 4-pack of impatiens. Now you can really see the color difference. Swinging around this way, you can see that I have an Ariella Sun King right here. I just put that in. So I wanted to add a little chartreuse back there that was a little bit bigger. So he's going to get fairly large, but that is a perennial that you cut back to the ground every year. And then we've got our Citronella Coral Bells, and then our Palace Purple flanked right behind them. So you kind of got that two-tone going on. I like that. Very nice. Another little bowl coming around, and then we did plant a Diravilla here. This is the Kodiak Orange. And it will get big enough that it's going to hide my meter 4x4. He's a newbie. I just put him in this year, so I'm really happy with him. Overall, I really like this bed. Coming along to the back porch, this is where we've had a rabbit living. And you know you don't just have one rabbit. You have more than one rabbit. So the rabbits have been eating all of my potato vines, and they just got all of my petunias in my big Sedona bowl. 3 days ago, it was loaded. And I'm just like, are you kidding? Yeah, in 2 days, ate all of them. Frustrating, but that's part of gardening. So first we'll look at something really pretty. These are the willow orbs that we made back in April or March or something like that. We made them out of the wreath rings and willow branches, and then we ended up stuffing this one full. Now the impatiens aren't doing real great in here. I don't think that they really like it, but I do like the fuchsia that's in here, and I put it in here to lure hummingbirds, and I have seen a hummingbird. They're so stinking fast, though, I can never get a picture of the hummingbird when it's right by the feeder. But I've seen the hummingbirds go to this, so it worked. I love it, and I will plant this up again. I think I love the lushness of the different foliage that we put in here, from the asparagus vine to the Algerian ivy. We've got some dangling vinca in here. I just really like this bowl. All right, let's swing around over here, and we're gonna go let's go up onto the patio, and then we'll come back down the other way. So this is our mini-me coleus. This is the watermelon. I really like this. It's really nice in the bowl. It filled it out. It's pretty, it's vibrant, it's the right size. I actually put 3 of them in this bowl, and last year we did this with other things, but I think I like it all by itself in the bowl, just like this. All right, these are my 3 low Sedona bowls that I got this year. They matched the pots out at the end of the driveway. And as you can see, yep, there was my beautiful potato vine, and all that's left now are the stems. But we still have the beautiful coleus, the double impatiens. I mean, we still have the white begonias in here. So there's still a lot in here that looks really good. And I don't think it left a hole. I'm probably just gonna prune it out. I just wanted to leave it there so I could show it to you guys. Because if you swing around over here to this one, yep, he ate all of them right there too. Every one of them is gone. But the rest of the bowl itself looks really good. Moving up the steps to our big Sedona bowl, to the not so looking good part of the garden, is our alyssum. Looks great. And we do have a few flowers here and there, but you can see a lot of them are missing. And if you come in, you can see the stems. See how all of my flowers are pretty much gone. It makes me so frustrated to see that, because this bowl, oh my gosh, was it glorious. I loved it. But I have to just see what it will do between now and fall, and hopefully, you know, it'll produce some more flowers, or the rabbits will keep eating them, and next year I'll plant verbena, and then they won't eat that at all. This one must be too high for him to get at, because this one still has the jazzberry on it. This one originally was up front, and it is doing so much better back here. It's got the Jazzberry Super Tunia in it. It's got the Purple Night, Alyssum, and then a Helichrysum. I think this is so pretty on this little tea cart. Isn't that nice? I just like that. All right, these are the strawberries that we have here. We're doing them in our green stalk planter, and we've had a lot of problems with Japanese beetles just wanting to eat these things up. And so, I don't know. I haven't really picked any strawberries off of this. I don't know if I would call this a success. I'm probably going to say it's a fail. I don't know, because I'm not getting strawberries. Now, I'm going to push it in the garage and see how it does later, like next year. I don't know. We'll see. Right now, the Japanese beetles are just having a field day with it. I did move these pots. They were on the edge of the steps, and I ended up moving them over here because they get more sun. And one of you guys commented that geraniums really need serious sun. I've never been a big geranium planter, but I've decided that I do like the salmon ones, and I think I'm going to order some more seeds, and I'm going to plant some more of the bullseye salmon, and I'm going to fill this whole bed with just those and the calendula next year, because I'm really enjoying them now that they're not getting enough sun, or now that they are getting enough sun. But again, check it out. Yep, no potato vine. No potato vine. And again, no potato vine. Isn't that funny? This first layer of my garden is my herb garden, and I really do need to get in here and harvest the herbs. I have a couple roses in here. We've got the double pink from Proven Winners. We've got some calendula in here, but it's been so wet, and you really don't want to harvest your herbs when it's wet. You want them to be pretty dry, because you want them to not mold as you're trying to dry them out. So hopefully here in the next couple days it will stop raining so I can get out here and get that done. Dropping down to the second layer, we have a blue cadet hosta with an elbow marginetta white hosta in here. We've got our beautiful Japanese painted ferns, and I just love these. I love the colors on the Japanese fern. And here you can see I did plant a bunch of zinnias in here, and you can tell it's been raining because they're petal wet and they're drooping a little bit. But I do like the zinnias. I like the color that I chose. I just think that these are so pretty. I just love that salmon apricot color, and I would plant those again, but probably not in here. They're just a little bit too much for me. And then the other thing was, I do have geraniums in here, and you're going to see pink, red, and salmon. And part of it's because when I planted them, I did them from seed, and then I mixed all the seeds up, and I didn't get them separated properly, and then I mixed them up, and then when I planted them, I didn't know what was what. But this is the bullseye salmon, and what I love, see, I love the foliage on that outer green margin and then that inner purple color. I just think that that is so striking, and that looks so good in the garden. Because the other thing that I'm going to do next year is I think I am going to plant some more purple basil, even if I don't harvest it all. I like that punch of dark purple in there. I think it looks so good. And then ditch all of the red geraniums, leave that tall calendula in there, and then just salmon geraniums. I think that will be so pretty. As we look further down the bed, here's the Nepeta, the Walker's Low catmint. This is the one that we cut back the third week in June, and look at how nicely that has recovered. And the bees will be all over this thing again. In fact, they're already starting. And then on the other end of that is our salvia, which is totally reblooming. Not as, thickly as it did the first time, but man, does it look good. That nice, pretty purple. I love this plant. If you didn't see the video where we're totally revamping this bed, go check it out, because in the next couple weeks, this thing is going to be replanted up, things moved around, things pulled out, so it'll look kind of the same but kind of different. And then all the pieces that I'm missing, the blue, the winter interest, and the purple, will all be filled out in here. The knockout roses have a beautiful flush of new growth on it and new flowers. These are the ones that we also gave a little haircut when we did that printing back, and look at all those buds on there and the new foliage. Isn't that great? And then I did plant one dahlia in the ground here. It was left over at the garden center and nobody bought it, so I put it in the ground. No idea which one it is, but isn't it pretty? And it's that peachy apricot. So I'm not a big dahlia person. I have a few up in the garden bed that I planted from little tubers. We have our Heliopsis up here with our Echinops, and this is the blue Echinops and then the sun gold Heliopsis. So those are new. I just planted them. They're looking a little floppy from all the rain, but those are going to stay right there, fill in next year, and be absolutely fabulous. Some more of our alliums right there. Love that flower. Isn't that great looking? If you don't have alliums in your garden, I highly recommend, if you've got some full sun areas, put some in. You won't regret it. All right, coming back this way, our Bobo hydrangea is starting to really come into its own. It probably doesn't get enough sun back here to totally fill out with flowers, because normally a Bobo will get flowers from tip to base. This one's a little more sparse, but I do like the way it looks and I like the shape. This pink knockout rose is one of the items that we're going to be moving, so that's going to find a new home in a different bed. But this is overall what our bed is looking like. But stay tuned for that revamp because it's going to be fabulous. All right, swinging around to the other side, which we go from shade to sun, back to shade, and here we are in our hosta bed. Now again, some of the hostas look really good, some of the hostas don't. You can see here, this is a deer. See how it's shredded and ripped? That's how deer eat. If it was a rabbit, it would be more of a clean cut. Deer don't have top incisors, so when they rip into your plants, they shred it like that. So that's deer damage. And they don't typically eat down a whole plant. They're browsers, so they'll go from plant to plant to plant. So this is a big blue angel hosta. And then we just come through here, and that's like one of my projects that I definitely want to get done this year, is I want to try and identify all these hostas in here. Some of them I know, some of them I don't know. The other thing I did was I tried to put some lamium in here because I wanted to create some ground cover up through here at the bottom of the maple tree so that I didn't have these big bare areas, because there's a lot of roots here and you really can't plant in here, and you really shouldn't cover up the roots because it smothers the tree. So I tried lamium, but I think I'm really liking the ajuga better. So I think I'm going to get some more ajuga and interplant some ajuga in there as well. The other thing that I'm really disappointed in, and I don't know what's going on with this, if it's just been too much water, too much rain, bug pressure, because deer and rabbit typically do not eat Brunnera. But look at these guys. They're in their second year and they should be looking way better than this. So not quite sure what's going on with those. I don't see, I mean, this looks like insect damage to me. When I look in there and I see that, I have to do a little research, and maybe it's the earwigs are eating the Brunnera too, but they just don't look as good as they should. But I am really happy with the way this ajuga is starting to bulk up. All right, coming around the bed here, swinging around, and again, we started revamping the garden bed back here. I have some hollyhocks here that I grew in a winter sown jug. I've got to get those in the ground. I did get my ladies mantle all planted. I cut them back. They're, for the most part, looking better. This one still looks a little rough. Now, one of you suggested that I put some Nepeta back here behind these ladies mantle. And what's cool is, if you watch The Impatient Gardener, Erin has a bed that she has the ladies mantle on the front, and then she flanked the back of it with the Nepeta. Now, I think she's using a bigger Nepeta in hers. I don't know. I'm thinking about putting that in. I really like it. I think I like the look of it when she did it in her garden, and I think I'm going to copy. Is that bad? No, that's not bad. That's why we have gardening videos, so we can be inspired by other people. Now we're going to come up on the cottage garden. You can see that I sprayed the edge of the bed because I need to edge that out. You can also see where I planted the serviceberry. Now this little area right here in behind the rocks, this is where we dumped, or actually we didn't dump, but we put the cardboard down. So we actually put the cardboard down here, 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 over there, and then in front of the walkway of the big red shed. We put down cardboard because I had been saving it from all the things that had come in over the spring. And then we laid down whatever medium we wanted to put on top of it. So here we ended up putting compost, and then I dumped the mulch on top. Now we had the serviceberry already planted. This is one that we had over the winter, and it was really struggling. I thought it was going to die. And so I put it in the ground, and I've been babying it, watering it, and I fed it, and it's doing pretty good. I did cut out all of the branches that didn't have any leaves on it, so the center's pretty open, but I think it's doing pretty good. A lot of times with a serviceberry, when you first plant it, if it's stressing a lot, it'll start to lose its leaves, and or the leaves will start to turn prematurely red. So this one doesn't have any red, so I'm feeling a lot of hope for this guy. You can also see that my zinnias over here are starting to come into their own. We have a little grouping right here, and then another one right behind it. We have a row of them right there. And then I threw some Dusty Miller in the ground. And there's a few weeds in here I got to get out. Our Green Mountain boxwood is looking really good. I'll show you one of my garden uglies in just a second. If we swing over here, these zinnias get, I don't know, I thought they were getting the same amount of sun as the other side, and I planted them the same day. But these are much bigger, more flowers, and they're happier. So I don't know. Look at them. Aren't they great? Look at that one. Isn't that fabulous? The ones in the back are called Green with Envy. I really like those. So I'm really happy that I planted these in here, and next year I will probably fill this whole area with zinnias. I love this. Now, we do have our Wagilla over here doing really well. This is the Wine and Roses, and I do need to mulch down here. I just haven't done it yet. And then behind that, I threw some Cosmo seeds in the ground, and they're doing okay as well. Now, look at this. What is that? Well, that was my glorious hollyhock, and we are not cutting it back because I know it's ugly. In fact, all of them are ugly if you look, but I want them to throw their seeds all over the place. So we're letting those dry down just a little bit longer. Maybe in a week, I will cut those back to the ground. Now, the other thing that's looking really great is our Calicarpa. This is our beauty bush, and look at all of the white flowers that are starting to turn into the pink berries. It'll be just loaded with those. I don't know, can I get close enough that you can see how they're starting to turn into the pink berries? I love that shrub. And you know, this shrub, I didn't realize it, but you cut this shrub back to the ground every year when it's done, kind of like a perennial, and you wouldn't think to do that, but you do, and it grows back all big and glorious. You've got to love garden fails. At least you learn things from them. Okay, so in these black pots, I did one with a flower pot insert that was supposed to make this a pot that you could have a water reservoir in the bottom, and then you only had to fill it up once a week. And then I did the other one without. And as you can see, the hydrangea has died in both of them. Now in this one, we've been getting enough rain that the potato vine is doing just fine. But this guy, yeah, he languished and he is not doing well. And I think he needed just way more water than I could give him in this pot. And then the other one, you're gonna love this. So this pot is supposed to make your life easier, right? And it probably does. But we have had so much rain that not only is the rain in the reservoir filling up, but then it's getting all the extra rain as well. And this thing was full of water and it made everything in the pot croak. So we're gonna take both of them over to the driveway. I did get 2 more. I'm gonna try one more time, but we're gonna move them closer to the house, not flanked here, where I can actually pay attention to them, see them, and you know, take care of them, because I know myself. I don't know why I thought I could put pots out here. I'm an idiot, because I won't come out here and water them. If they don't go just on regular rain, then they aren't gonna survive out here. That's why in the other pot, I have sedum and sedum. I'll show you. And that looks great. All right, we have yet to trade out the roses. The Lady of Shallots are still in here, and we have not traded them out for the Princess Marguerite, which is the real climbing vine that I need to get on here for the roses. And hopefully I'll get that done before the end of the year. We have cut back the yarrow. This was the pastels, and they were absolutely beautiful. I love them, and I like this patch. Even though it doesn't have any flowers on it, I cut it back maybe 3 days ago, so it hasn't been very long. And then look at the hibiscus, you guys. So when the hollyhocks were done, then the hibiscus really started to come into their own. This one is the lavender chiffon. Isn't it great with the dark foliage and those beautiful lavender hibiscus on there? I just love this plant. I think it looks so great. As we swing around into the bed, we've got our panicum here. This is the North Pole panicum, followed by our ice and roses, Oh So Easy rose here, and you can see again, full of buds, just full of buds. So this thing will totally flush out again. The alyssum really started to fill in. Those were those little ones that we cut back that didn't have any flowers on them, so they're just starting to come into their own. Our little, this is the American Gold Rush, Black-Eyed Susan, so I really like that, next to the Magnus Coneflower. And the Magnus Coneflower, I need to come through and deadhead to try to get them to extend their life as far as how long they're gonna bloom. The status are less than spectacular, so there's one of them right there. So I don't know that I would do that again. But the thyme is starting to fill in, and that's a perennial that'll come back every year. And that patch will probably fill in this whole area right here and spill over the rocks. It's just gonna take it a year, like till the end of next year, to do it. All right, I also love our little mop cypress down here. I think it's so pretty. Again, we have another thyme right there. That'll fill in that whole area. So here's the paver pot that we made, and we filled it in with the Back in Black sedum from Proven Winners and the Coral Jade. And see, I don't water that. I don't do anything to that. I don't feed it, I don't water it, and it loves its life right there. This is the kind of stuff, if I'm gonna put it out here in the cottage garden, this is what needs to be out here, because it's got to be tough and it's got to be able to survive. Let's start at one end and swing our way around. We've got our beautiful hibiscus here, the white swan echinacea. Then we've got another hibiscus in the back. I want to say it's called Edge of Night, but I could be wrong. It could be a different one. You can see the beautiful denim and lace Russian sage peeking through. And then behind this, Blue Fortune Agastaki, which is the big mass of purple in the middle. You can see those spiky junipers back there. Those are pencil point junipers. Now, those are going to get 6 feet tall. They're just not crazy fast growers, so it's going to take them a couple years. But then once they're 6 feet tall, the layering on this will look really good. We've got our tulip tree here, and that is just growing like mad. I can't believe how big that's gotten in just 2 years. I know, 2 years. That's a pretty fast growing tree. All right, swing back down this way. We've got some of the Heliopsis. This is the Tuscan Gold. And then we've got our nice row of the Arctic Fire Dogwoods, which there's a whole row of this, which is this vibrant red, beautiful stem in the winter. And if we drop lower, check out this panicum right here. This is a shorter panicum, gets about 3 by 3. Look at that beautiful burgundy red foliage in there. This is called Cheyenne Sky. Isn't that great? I love the size of this one. And then if we swing back even more, I just cut back the Veronica that was under here. This was the Magic Potions from Proven Winners. Got a white alyssum in here. And then if we swing around this way, you can see the daylilies. These are the Playful Meadow Mama, and they have aged quite a bit. But let me take you down to this one down here. This is what they actually look like when they're fresh. See the peach that's kind of on the end that radiates out from the petal? Isn't that great? It almost has like a 3-tone color on it, and then as they age, they kind of lose that vibrancy, but they're a nice short echinacea. And then you swing it around to this area here that's got a big hole in it because we lost our shrub. We did cut back the iris because they weren't looking that great. And then we threw some thyme, some violet night alyssum in the ground, and a couple purple sages. But I do need to get a shrub in here. So this is where I'm going to move right here, the pink knockout rose that's in the back bed. It's going to come live out here, and I think it'll love it. All right, coming along the north bed, along the side of the house, we've got our black lace elderberry here. I will be pruning this down to the ground this year. I want to control the size. I am more than willing to sacrifice the blooms on it this year so that I can have a smaller size. And this is what happens with the flowers. See how they turn into these little berries right here? And so they kind of blend in a little bit, but if you get closer, you can certainly see them. And then when you get new growth, see how it's that vibrant kind of green? And even this one on the new growth has a flower. So I think I'll still sport a few flowers next year, but I need this to be a little bit smaller. And for me, that's how I control the size. You can take it all the way down to the ground. Plus, it's interfering with my oak leaf hydrangea here. It's getting in the way, and so I need this to get out of the way so that, you know, this guy has a little bit more room to grow. I will be rejuvenating some of what's going on in this garden. I will be leaving the boxwoods. These are the winter gems. This is a full-grown shrub. I have never pruned these. So the ones on the other side of the house can get this big. I kind of want to try and keep them a little bit smaller, but this is full-grown. Now, I do have a Royal Standard and a Striptease hosta right here. I don't know if I'm going to move them or leave them, but I think I want something taller there as I layer this bed down because, let me back up, we will be building a wall. So there is a change in elevation. I don't know if you can see it. If I stand back here, can you see how it's higher over on one side and then it's lower as you get to the rock path? So on the edge of this fabric, we want to build a stacked stone wall, or I don't know what I'm going to make it out of yet, but we're going to put a wall in to elevate it up. And then when we do that, I probably want to layer it a little bit because the path isn't going to be this wide. I want, you know, layers. So these will probably end up moving, those two hostas, but I'll leave the boxwoods there. Although I could move those two. It just depends on how the whole thing works out. But I have found a home for all these boulders. We are going to use these boulders to create our little path that's going to go through the back garden. Coming around to the front bed, this was our holding bed. I just came through and I cut back the daisies, the coreopsis, some of the hostas, the daylilies, and there was some, I think, red velvet or paprika. I can't remember which one this is. I think it's red velvet yarrow in here. And so I just cut those all back, and all that's left blooming right now is the black-eyed Susans. This is just a holding bed. So all of this will eventually go to a new home. Coming up to the new bed here, you can see this is the solar flare that we cut back. Isn't it doing great? Let me just back up a little bit here. So last year I hated this bed, and this year I'm loving this bed. Now this side still has to fill in, but I love that we have taken it down to so much less than what was in it, and I feel like what's in here fits the size of the bed better. So I can't even tell you how pleased I am with how well I like this bed now. And then if we come around to the outside, I love that too. So these are cleomes. Some people call them spider plants. It's an annual. I planted these last year and I thought that they were wonderful and I loved them. And so I planted more of them this year. Now I left a gap right here because I didn't know if the hydrangea, this was the first year I pruned out the bottom branches, and I didn't know if they were going to weigh down on top of it. So I think next year I'll plant them all the way down. So this was one flat. This was 10 4-inch plants. And I like the way they blend with the black-eyed Susans. Now, the one place the black-eyed Susans is flopping is right here in front of our little quick fire hydrangeas, which, oh my gosh, aren't those awesome looking? I love this. So I'm thinking maybe I need to dig these out and move them someplace else. I do really like the layering right here of how this looks with the weeping spruce, then the limelight hydrangeas, and then the cleomes and the black-eyed Susans. I just love that. I think it looks so good. Back out a little bit more. Oh, check it out. Now let's put in that hydrangea in there. Let's see, can we hide that? I don't know. I just like the way this bed is shaping up. As we come up the driveway, again, we've got that Baptisia australis. That is the one that I pruned back. Look at that. It looks so cute there. I love that I pruned that back. Then we've got our beautiful quick fire hydrangeas, and here's our roses that still aren't in the ground, but look at our pot here. Isn't this great? I do like the ivy in this. I like the verbena. I do like the evolius in here and the little mini Vista Star petunias. Now, the one thing, if I had to do this pot over again, which I like the soft look of it, I would change this centerpiece out. Not in love with that icicle helichrysum in there. It's not my favorite, but overall, this pot looks pretty good. The other one on the other side is doing a lot better than the last time I showed you. Not impressed with the fiber optic grass. That's looking kind of brown and icky, and again, not loving the centerpiece that I chose. It's just not tall enough. But I love the saffron finch and I love the purple verbena. I think the two of those together look great. Let's check out the porch. I haven't shown you that at all this year because I haven't really been able to use it up until a couple weeks ago because we had birds in here and I didn't catch the nest fast enough before they had babies and eggs and all of that. And these are, I think they're barn swallows, and they built their nest right up here in the brick. You can see where they attached it right there. It's like they make this mud, and the nests are so tiny, and there was 4 birds in that nest. And I kind of had to wait for them to go away before I could really do anything on the porch. But once they were gone, ooh, I got all my house plants out, got them out here, and I even got some new ones. Look at this little polka dotted begonia that I got. Isn't that cute? I love that. And then we got our croton out, brought him out here. All my house plants do so much better when I bring them out here to live all summer and then bring them back in. So I love peperonias. They are so easy to grow. So I have a lot of different ones. I have no idea what their names are. I just buy the ones that I like. This is a Sansevieria here. It's one of those cylindrical ones. And for me, I like houseplants that don't take a lot of water and that are very easy to grow and maintain. This is our potting bench that we made in a video back in March. And so this is where it's been living, and I like it here a lot. And then we swing around to the porch. We've got this nice arrangement that I made in the tin. We've got our umbrella plant right here, and check it out. I started looking for things for the she shed. Here is one of the little pictures that I got at a place called Vintage Bliss. And so I'll be going back there. I was pretty happy with the pricing and what I saw. Got a lot of ideas when I was there. And I actually got another one. See, it's right here. I just like those little pictures. Those are gonna go in the she shed. Checking out the seating area. This is where I like to hang out. Look what I got. I got a fire table. Now this is used, it's not a new one, and it runs on propane. So this little lid right here just lifts off, and all of this glass has a burner underneath it, and it lights. Isn't that great? I love sitting out here, and we will use this all winter because it runs on propane. It's protected underneath here. just beautiful. I love this thing. I think I'm gonna go get some of that Flexstone paint though, and then just paint everything up so it's got like a nice fresh coating on it. And my big split leaf philodendron, I have had that plant for 35 years. I almost killed it like 5 times. It takes up like a quarter of my office when I drag it inside, but I love this plant. And then my other big plant is my big ruby ficus. And my last little peek I'm gonna show you is the begonia that I bought. I don't know what it is. It's got these really pretty pink like polka dots on it. Isn't that pretty? And then look at those little flowers on there. This sits at my little table right next to my glider. I just love that little begonia. So I think these are chipmunks that are doing this. I had impatiens in here, and then they dug the impatiens out, threw them all over the place. So I pulled the impatiens out. They still can't help themselves. They've got to dig in something. There must have been roots still in there. That just happened overnight. All right, the other thing is, yeah, see, ate all of my potato vines. So my less than glorious pots, the petunias are gone, the little potato vine is gone, but I still have a beautiful Dracaena in here and a little bit of a fan flower. So what we'll do is we'll actually just empty these out, leave the Dracaena spike in it, and turn it into a fall pot. This was me trying to feed the rabbits romaine lettuce. Obviously, they snubbed their nose at my romaine lettuce. But this is my view when I'm sitting in my glider. Okay, so I'm sitting out here, and see, now I just think the view is so much nicer. I really like it. I like that you can see peaks of the cottage garden as I sit here. In hindsight, I wish I would have painted my shed a different color, but you know how you kind of get into the rut of, it was red, so let's paint it red. And somebody suggested that I should have painted it like a slate blue, and now I'm like, that would have been such a better color. But $500 later, I'm not repainting it, so maybe the next time I paint it, I'll change the color. I love this view. I hated this garden last year, and now I really like it again. That was a fairly long tour for me. And so that's what my garden looks like right now at the end of July. Good, bad, ugly, and some pretty awesome looking stuff too. So I hope that this inspires you to get out in your garden and get something done. And if you have any suggestions for any of the things that we talked about or that I asked for suggestions on, make your notations down below because I would love to hear your suggestions. Also, it is time to start submitting your pictures for the August Garden Gab, which is always the first Saturday of the month. Make sure you send those in. And what am I looking for? One picture of something fabulous in your garden that you're really proud of that you want to show off. Send the picture in a landscape format, which means you turn your phone the long ways. Send it to this email address right here. I will highlight those pictures. I also need to know who you are, where you live, what zone it is, and what are we looking at. That way I can share those pictures with everybody else. All right, I'm Michelle. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. We'll see you in the next video. Hope you get out in your garden today. It deserves some TLC, and so do you. Bye, everybody.